Today, how long can we go without talking about NFTs? Let's ask Square Enix. This is CheckPoint.
Welcome to CheckPoint. Sorry we were gone last week.
We didn't realize that a lack of CheckPoint would cause the collapse of several multi-billion-dollar banks and shake the foundations of the international monetary system.
That was a bit of a whoopsie on our part. Next time we'll try to give a bit more notice. Microsoft seems to be getting increasingly concerned with looking clean and tidy and not the faintest bit anti-competitive in advance of their plan to purchase Activision Blizzard. And so, hot on the heels of their deal promising to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo and an agreement to bring Xbox PC games to Nvidia's GeForce Now streaming service, Microsoft has signed an agreement with Boosteroid? It's probably fine. Sure, we've never heard of Boosteroid, but they are based in Ukraine and they serve Europe and the US, and they have 4 million users, which isn't actually a whole lot. And I feel like that this suggests the appearance of goodwill for allowing Call of Duty on a Ukraine-owned streaming platform is worth much more to Microsoft than however much money they might be losing by licensing Xbox PC games to Boosteroid. In fact, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Microsoft President Brad Smith said, the only argument is that Microsoft is going to withhold Call of Duty from other platforms, and we've now entered into contracts that are going to bring this to many more devices and many more platforms. That is a pretty hard case to make in court. And Brad, I don't really think that was the only concern, but go off.
The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is going to cost $70 US, whether you like it or not. And frankly, it kind of makes sense that it will. Doug Bowser spoke to AP News recently to reaffirm why it is that the latest Zelda needs to cost $10 more, saying, the price point reflects the type of experience that fans can expect when it comes to playing this particular game. Which to me says that since I played Breath of the Wild for 200 hours, I should expect a price equivalent 17% rise in my fucking around time to 234 hours in Tears of the Kingdom. And that instead of sitting on the game for a year before finishing it, I'll be waiting 14 months instead. Bowser also said that this isn't the new standard Nintendo price point either. He expects all Nintendo game prices to vary depending on the game. And in fact, we've already seen that. Metroid Prime Remastered, the update of the GameCube Classic, sells for $40. And sure, yes, maybe it should because you're probably saying, oh, it's just an update. I mean, I keep getting YouTube videos in my feed screaming about how the remaster is more of a remasterpiece. But hey, it's a different Nintendo game at a different price point. Hell, Final Fantasy VII was $55 when it came out in 1997, and they haven't even finished remaking it yet, so good luck putting a price on that. Look, I get it. I hate it when things start costing more money. I hate it when housing costs more, which is bullshit because we need that to live. And I hate when food costs more, which is bullshit because we also need that to live. I just hate it in general when prices rise because it always feels like it's all just going into the pocket of some already rich jackass. So I might not like that Nintendo is changing the prices on their video games, but at least it sounds like it's not all of them, not right now, and maybe it's not as bad as we think it is. Bit of a bummer, but hey, maybe Kathleen's got something more cheery for us.
You know what blew my mind when I read it last night? Square Enix's NFT game Symbiogenesis is still happening. This ill-considered demonstration of the sunk cost fallacy centers its entire gameplay around NFTs, using the virtual speculation vehicles to give players the ability to read unique stories, gain experience points more easily, and even earn additional NFTs when missions are cleared. No idea when it will be out, but the game's first teaser was released this week, aka just about a year after the NFT craze's death spiral really started to kick off. And now, I'm no C-suite executive, but I do have a bold and exciting plan that should let Square Enix walk back this project from the brink of disaster, because as it turns out, there are different ways to monetize the game. It's called charging for it the normal way, not burning down 10 trees every time you need to issue a receipt.
Nintendo has recently teased plans for manufacturing a Mario homunculus from the ground up, literally starting with his boots. This daring and almost certainly illegal cloning project has just finished its first stage at the boot manufacturer Red Wing Shoes, purveyor of hard-wearing work boots for the discerning blue-collar Joe. Iron Rangers these are not, though. A short video gives us a look at the careful construction, starting with the custom last, made to fit only Mario's feet, to the commando sole, to the end shot of a product that screams, "For sale, baby shoes, thyroid problem." No word on whether Nintendo sprang for Goodyear welting or steel toes, but they did make sure to stitch a little bit of movie advertising inside the heel, destined to rub a hole in your fucking socks in about 3 months. The end result is an unmistakably Mario-ish boot that's massively wide from toe box to heel. And you know what they say about guys with wide feet? They say, that homunculus must have a beer can for a dick.
Who says that?
Who says what?
The thing about beer cans. Who says that?
Oh, you know, people, experts in the field.
The field of homunculus dick sizes?
Yes, it is an oft overlooked but well-established academic discipline with several peer-reviewed journals.
Okay. Coming up, Heinz is running an awareness campaign in Fortnite, but not for ketchup since your average Fortnite player is already well familiar with it as one of the 10 foods they like. It's about soil health decline due to over-farming and what Heinz is doing to stop it. For more information, Google greenwashing.
Awesome.
Aside from that outro, that was like... Who says that?
Who says what?
Oh, it says who says that?
Yeah.
Oh. You're correcting me.
Third base.
I thought you were correcting me. You were so fast on it. You were so fast. You're like, said what? I felt like I was being corrected. It was so authoritative. I was like, oh,
you heard it here first, folks.
I was wrong. I read it on my eyes lied to me.
It's
That's not a real thing, though. Nobody cares about well, I mean, I'm sure lots of people do, but there's no journals on it.
Check AO3, check E624.
Actually, there might be a journal entry on it if it's like a sociologist.
It's probably an SCP.
So someone says that.
Yeah.
It's the internet. One of the big stories this week that I didn't get into because anything I did would have just been summarizing a very well-written Ars Technica article about game preservation and the issue with the 3DS and Wii U shops going offline.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh no, how am I going to play the original Professor Layton games with Penelope? Because I told Penelope that the new Professor Layton game was coming out and where you get to play as a detective solving mysteries. And you just her eyes lit up. She's like, I want to play that. And I was like, and there's puzzles you can solve. And she's like, oh my God. And I was like,
all right.
Heck yeah. Because she's almost done with Pokemon Violet.
Yeah, and you're kind of just then confined to this thing of if you want to play those games, you're going to have to find the physical copies of those.
Yeah, which I still have, and I have a 3DS and stuff like that. But then I was looking into it, and like the first 3 games are also on the App Store, so I could just like put it on an iPad for her.
Absolutely.
So, but like it is a problem, and like the Ars Technica article went into a really great breakdown of like they have been trying to get them archived for scholarship purposes for a long time, but the people who are representing the companies are arguing that if they're going to have these games archived for scholarship purposes, they want real restrictions on who's allowed to play them or study them.
Yeah.
And like it's like as in going so far that like a normal student could not do any work on them or look at them from a scholarship point of view, because how do you know they're not just playing the game for free? And like the librarians are like, we're not talking about what archive.org does, which is just slap them up there for anyone to download and play. We're talking about this would be a resource you check out of a library in an academic setting. This is not just we're going to let anybody who's enrolled at the school play Zelda for free.
And by and large, it's like the preponderance, like there's so many games that are already like we take Layton for example, right? So if you take Layton in the Curious Village, which is already on DS, since like there's millions of those out or hundreds of thousands of those at least out in the world, but they're expensive to get. And they will, the kind of relative nature of how good a game was and how much it counts as even a bad game counts as a rarity if they didn't make many of them, that kind of idea. And you're like, fine, but that's all physical copies. Like it's the digital thing that's what's the important part.
Yeah,
and that's the worrying thing is it's like, this should cost you nothing to say we can give you all this archived whatever. The rights of the people who make the game have to decide whether or not they think it's important to keep an archival version of it.
And they don't.
Right. And also there's so many digital games that have shown up on these shops that are like, does it matter if you keep, Joe's fart machine?
Yeah, well, and the issue is that, like, say you are doing a study on old Zelda, for example, under the terms of these, like, academic agreements, what they're saying, the only way you can keep a copy of this is if you go to where your copy is held, either digitally or physically. So if you want to study Zelda, that's not a game that you can whip through. You're talking about you have to come to this place where that's holding the archived copy of this game for what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, do I have to check out a 3DS that has that game on it?
And I can't leave campus or something like that. It's like that's bananas. Like and that's not how any other academic information is shared.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like people who publish things in journals aren't worrying about putting their information in library books. Like people, like, libraries have not caused the collapse of the music industry.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that's, like, there's lots of things that have caused the collapse of the music industry, but it's not being able to check out a CD.
Yeah.
Or being able to read an ebook if you have a library card.
And having digital copies, which at this point, the amount of... You could probably store a lot of what's being put into... The bottom 80% of what's on any sort of app store could probably be stored on a few like large multi-terabyte drives. I'm sure at this point because they're probably little like dust. Not really a good word for what I'm trying to think of. They're the dust of the games industry. They're just stuff that's like not
shash.
Yeah, it's like the things where it's like this is normally $10, but we put it on sale for 97 cents just because we're trying to drive the sales of it up in the thing. Those kind of.
The draft chaff.
Yeah, the things where it's like nobody's really playing this game or they're buying it because they're like it's worth $1 or whatever to do whatever. And I hate to say that about anybody who's making a game because it's like it's so much work to make any kind of game.
Yeah.
But there's that sense of is the preservation of that on that platform so important that we need to be paying attention to that, or really is it all about I want to make sure that I have access to the premier AAA, I want to have Zelda available as a thing I can take out of the library so I can do a study on that game. And I'm like, yeah, there's so much conversation, and while the conversation's going on, stuff's just disappearing.
Yeah, there's no archive of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially nowadays, it's so hard to get, like, you have better records of something that's like from the 80s than you have for some time periods now.
Yeah.
Even though that was a long time ago because they'd still write things down.
Exactly, yeah.
And so, yeah. Like how many stories and blogs and all sorts of things have been lost over the internet already? Millions and trillions of words probably of information that was gathered and stuff. It's all buried on Wikipedia dead links.
Yeah.
Well. Wait, we're supposed to talk about uplifting things. What's uplifting?
Really?
What did I find that was uplifting? Did I find anything that made me smile? Oh, here's something that's cool. James Turner revealed some Pokemon designs he made.
Yeah.
But it's not the James Turner that works here. But it's no longer the James Turner that works at the Pokemon Company. He now has a new job, and he's making a cool-looking game.
Oh, good.
Good for James Turner. That's one positive news item.
Yeah.
We did it.
Somewhere out there, a James Turner is being successful.
So tempting.
Yeah.